Hello and welcome to my podcast, Conversations with Cornelius, where I, Cornelius Patrick O'Sullivan, discuss, chat and hypothesize on all things from fatherhood, marriage, comedy and everything else in between. From time to time, there will be special guests, but mostly it's going to be me and some regular contributors, including my main squeeze, Noelle Patricia O'Sullivan, aka the wife. So sit back, relax and enjoy Conversations with Cornelius. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Cornelius. I am your host, Cornelius Patrick O'Sullivan, and it is, what date is it? It is the 24th of May. It is a Tuesday. I am sitting on a hot rock overlooking, is this the River Lee or the ocean?
Both actually, yeah.
It's where the River Lee meets the
ocean.
The ocean. So there's a smell of shit. We're down in Passage. We're on a kind of a rocky beach. It is a beautiful day. I am with a gorgeous human being who I'm going to bring onto the stage there now in a moment. I'm feeling great. I'm full of energy. I am just loving life at the moment.
Good old form.
I'm in great form.
Yeah, I can see it, man.
I'm vibing, as I say recently. A lot of my habits, it's all correlating with the habits that I'm keeping at the moment. When I'm out of my good habits, my bad habits emerge and take over. So I'm just going to try and continue to fast and to exercise and to meditate and to try and eat a non-toxic amount of food. I've been eating a lot of toxic food. I still eat toxic food. I still eat pizza. I can never stay away from pizza. But in general, I'm trying to be careful of what I put into my body, and I am definitely feeling the benefits of it over the last few weeks. So I'm feeling good. It's the start of the summer. As I said, I'm down here in Passage West. I'm going to bring on today's guest. He is enigmatic.
Oh, love it.
Intelligent.
Of course.
Loyal.
Oh, I don't like loyal.
You're loyal, man. You're a loyalist.
No, I do like loyal. I'm staunch, actually.
You're fucking a staunch loyalist,
staunch
man.
Friend.
Loving. One of the most loving people that I know. Hilarious. Definitely one of the most funniest people. I love hanging around with this guy. Always makes me laugh. And extremely talented. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the inevitable Tadhg Hickey.
Con, that is the second lovely introduction you've given me in about a week, I'd say. We did a podcast together there recently live, which was a great experience.
Live at the Coco.
And you brought me on by, I think you actually just summed up me by saying that I was a very intelligent comedian, which I loved that. Because what that does for me then is it creates this lovely buffer. You know, I don't have to be funny. Once I'm coming across as loquacious, then my job is done, you know. Like, you don't have to think I'm funny. I just want you to go away thinking
you're loquacious.
This one's smart guy. Like, this one's smart ass there.
I tell you what, he's a fucking smart nihilist.
And I suppose the irony is I'm not smart at all. Do you know what I mean? I can tie a couple of sentences together, but intelligence is a kind of a, it's a wide church, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I just seem to be around people who are practically smart at the moment, and I would put my smarts in context by being around people that are very practically able. Myself and the bold Dominic McHale there now, when we lived together for what felt certainly like 10, 20 years, used to have a version of this conversation a lot, where I think he's a big IQ guy, and I think IQ serves a function, but there's people that have got street smarts. There's people who are just extremely well able with their hands and able to figure things out. They mightn't necessarily do wonderfully in aptitude tests or whatever. I feel like I am decent at stringing sentences together, and sometimes those sentences can be funny.
Yeah. And
I'm not downplaying what I'm doing at all, but it's like to go around thinking that you're smart because you know you can string a couple of sentences together wasn't very helpful for me in my life.
Well,
it's just my experience. It's just my empiricism.
You're hearing a wife beater in shorts on a fucking Tuesday, man. There's no one disagreeing with you.
And I have never in my life yet hit a wife.
Not yet. Well, you've never been married.
No.
But you're down. I actually totally get what you're thinking, because I agree with that point. I think there's street smarts. I think there's emotional intelligence. I think emotional intelligence, if I was to be gifted one of the intelligences I would like to have the most one is I prefer emotional intelligence, because I think you'll get on better in this life if you're intelligent to be able to recognize vibes, people's feelings. You walk into a room and you can kind of get straight away, you'll get what's going on in there just by a feeling.
Yeah.
But
you can be really useful as well, I think,
extremely
with that.
useful.
Yeah.
And it's undervalued. Like, it's like, I know we're talking to Dom there now, and Dom won't mind us saying this, but he definitely loves or would put that on the pedestal, the IQ, like the book smart, that kind of carry on, which you have as well. You were in UCC.
I love books, man. I love books. No, but it's not like, you're not saying it's one or the other. I think it's like it's sometimes you're either kind of described as woke, I think, if you're trying to say that these things are a broad church, or you're a kind of a fundamentalist IQ guy. Doesn't seem to be any kind of nuance anymore or whatever. I suppose what I'm saying in long-winded ways, I watched a man paint a wall yesterday. I won't name the guy, but the way he did it. Now, see...
Oh, I love this.
You know what I mean? No, but like...
I know where you're coming with this.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know.
These are extra... Like, do you ever feel like I'm walking around the world sometimes going... and by the way, now I'm not making myself out to be, some sort of brilliant, ancient kind of Nietzschean mind or anything, but because, you might be able to hold down a conversation with somebody, some would say, oh, so-and-so might be smart or whatever. But I'm looking at a guy who's, like, smart with a lot of utility to it yesterday. Like, the way in which, like, he painted the room and cleaned up after himself and prepared the wall before it was painted. I am quietly in awe at the way that he did it, Yeah.
I love I love watching a man at his craft.
Same.
I'm not, because I admire that. Like, it's same there now. If I saw someone putting together like Noel is the man of the house at home. Like,
absolutely.
But like, someone to be able to, a cabinet maker. I remember growing up and some of my friends were becoming cabinet makers. I was like, sure, who's buying cabinets?
Yeah, and how do you make them?
Why would you want to? Like, but like, then you'd see some of their work and they'd be like, it's not appreciated now.
No.
Like, even like I've talked in this podcast about, we were trying to get a plumber for like 4 or 5 months at home. Eventually we got a plumber, but like the most if I was as in demand as a comedian as that plumber was, I'd be fucking loaded and living it up.
And actually, I think what I'm getting at is, like, in the circles I moved in, and maybe it was just my circles, but the circles I moved in particularly in UCC and kind of getting into the theatre world when I was in my early 20s, there was just this little veneer of sneer towards the working man, as particularly people who were not so much plumbers and whatnot, more people who were in kind of 9-to-5 jobs, anybody that wasn't kind of in the arts or didn't have like massive aspirations of being maybe famous or a successful businessman or whatnot. I think it can be a kind of predominantly kind of middle class thing, but anyway, I did think that was kind of hovering around the kind of perspective on people who were in so-called ordinary jobs. But the older I get, actually, the more fascinated, like you are, I am by people who are just fucking good at what they do, no matter what it is. And I think just something struck me there now worth saying is that, like, I'm passionately going back into learning Irish at the moment, right? And one of the big reasons for that is, like, I want to reconnect with my past, like my country's past, because it can also be our future, and it's part of my, I know the word heritage has been kind of commandeered in a not so pleasant way these days, but heritage is important. But in one generation, I've lost my link to the past because my father was an extraordinarily capable man, like a really practical man, like, and I am a pity.
What did your dad do?
He did everything. Like, I mean, he worked in Ford's at the height of Ford's being like the number one place to work in Cork, like in the late 70s, early 80s. But after he left, he was like, you know, he built our extension at home on his own. You know, he did the garden from start to finish. He built sheds. He was just anything he turned his hand. No, I don't think he was like a master craftsman and kind of anything. He was just well able, you know.
I'll tell you,
and I admire that so much, Con.
I am so with you there, man.
And there's fucking plenty of women doing it too. Don't get me wrong.
There's plenty of women doing it as well.
There's women who are so well able compared to me. Like,
well, my wife is more able than I am at those. I call them kind of, you know, like they're just like, I'm literally not able to do those types of tasks. Like, I will. Like,
are you though? Are you not able though?
Do you know what?
Because I wonder about myself at times.
I probably am, right? But I'm not able to summon up enough want in me.
You don't care enough.
I just don't care enough about.
That's it. That's me anyway.
It's,
you know?
like, if
traditionally I haven't cared enough.
If the IKEA stuff is in the box, right?
Yeah.
I'd be like, can we sit on the box? Do you know?
Yeah.
I know we'll take it out. And we can make a chair out of it. But look, could we just sit on the box?
That sounds nice. It does sound nice.
Do you know? And like
see, having a little picnic on the box.
On the box.
I can picture it.
Do you know? And like, it's just, but my dad, right? And my dad is still around, right? And I love him, and he's a great dad, and he's a brilliant, an unbelievable car salesman. You will not find a more empathetic, in tune, switched on. Someone will walk into the yard and he'll go, I know what car they'll buy.
Yeah.
And he'll be able to
master
show
his craft.
Master his craft. Yeah. But I never saw him wash a plate in my life.
Right. See, my father did then.
Right.
He did everything like.
I never saw him, so I was like, I never saw him cut the lawn. I never saw, like, so you did see that. I haven't seen that. So I don't have, I don't have any desire to do that. So I am in so awe. But when you ask me there, could you do it? I've never been shown how to do it.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of way. But I suspect I could.
But you'd be well able, I'd say. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I definitely, and I'm going to just speak for myself here now, I have found myself in scenarios where I have either told myself or I've told the world that, sorry, I can't do this, right? But then left to my own devices. Like, if I had to no, I'm not saying I would do anywhere near the job that young man did in my house yesterday, but if I had to paint my own wall, right? And to be honest, I probably should have. Now, I'm quite busy with work at the moment. There's stuff going on that we'll get into, which is wonderful. And you'd be busy, you'd be busy enough. But like, painting a wall, like, I mean, I should have that skill.
You probably do.
I probably do have that skill.
You probably do. You probably could. But you touched on something there. You have to, in our lives, in everyone's life, you have to prioritize.
Yeah.
And you have to compartmentalize.
That's true.
And if you wanted to save yourself 200 quid or 300 quid or 400 quid, you could have done that job. But then what you did yesterday wouldn't be done. And
I got him for 100.
And you got him for 100.
Yeah, so it was great.
What's his number?
And he's actually brilliant. And I will give you his number.
Actually, I do want his number.
Yeah. Well, it's another gig there now, hopefully, for that young man. But yeah, I just think it's interesting, and like, it's not to denigrate what he's doing then, because I'm not saying like, oh, I'll do that. It's not that thing. I know that he's superb at what he's doing. It's just like, you hit the nail on the head there earlier. Like, you didn't want it enough, really, and that's what it comes down to. I mean, anything that I'm 40 now, right? Anything I have.
Wow.
Thanks, man. And it's
Are you saying it now?
The complexion is unreal. Well, I'm 38, but I say I'm 40 with you to play the game. But anything I haven't picked up at this stage now, really, like, I couldn't be bothered.
Yeah.
And that's the you know, and like, that's why when I went back to do Irish there recently, I could feel the desire to go back and do Irish slipping through my fingers. Like, if I don't do this now, it's going to be a hobby horse, and there's nothing wrong with a hobby horse, but I'll be tipping away with it in my 70s and 80s if I live that long.
What are you doing?
I've done a course with Gael Culture. They're absolutely amazing. Highly recommend them. Big shout out. They kindly invited me to do a course with them, and that was it. No strings attached at all. Because I think they're just encouraging people who are probably maybe a little bit vocal on the internet to just get back in the game. And there seems to be this kind of weird thing where everyone's kind of going back to it at a similar time. I have to say, man, and to go back doing it as well, when like we all had experience in school where it just felt like it was this kind of rota learning, and there was kind of something kind of mean-spirited about it or something.
I hated Irish so much,
and I did too. And yet I loved history, and I just couldn't connect the two, or whatever. I don't think
it was taught properly to us.
No,
it was never
it wasn't.
Taught with love. It was never taught, like, it was just taught, as you said, like Peg is a great example of it. Like,
yeah.
I mean, no disrespect to Peg, no, like, she was a wonderful woman and all that kind of carry on.
Never met her.
That's like, why can't we have contemporary stories? You never met her? Great crack. Great.
That was a kind of a workaday gag I just throw in, you know. But I've spoken to people on that course. It was actually really poignant, man. There was a guy, I would say, no, he was actually. He said that he was in his 70s on the course, and he said that when he learned Irish at school, it was the aggression and the violence was built into it. Like, if you didn't know, he said also, I mean, I'm just quoting him now, I'm not saying this is a fact, whatever, but he was like, we didn't really actually understand how to teach it either. Like, there was no what would you say, the pedagogy for how to actually do it. Like, it was new to us.
What does pedagogy mean?
A kind of learning methods or learning skills or whatever. Oh man, I'd be very, very book smart. Like, yeah. I'm actually just a shout out there. If anyone's reading
podcast pedagogy.
Well, there's a book called Pedagogy of the Oppressed, which Sully and Dom take the piss out of me regular for, because they see it as my kind of mantra for oppressed peoples everywhere, and effectively it is. But what was I saying there now? Oh yeah, so he was kind of saying
pedagogy is a system of learning, is it?
Of learning, exactly. It's education based, like. And he was kind of saying that wasn't in place, and then what we got instead was a frustration with the teachers not being able to teach it properly, and this kind of violence then built into it, associated with the Catholic Church or whatnot. But this man was saying like that he was having a beautiful time on this Zoom class learning with us, like, and I was like thinking that the whole way along. But when he named it, I was like, oh man, this is reclaiming the language, because you're reclaiming it on your terms, like, you know.
So how long are you into this course? Is it done?
It's done now, but I'm going back over the course materials so that I can step up. So what I love about it is that like there's a kind of a roadmap. I can go again now and do the next level. So I'm at like intermediate lower or something level, and there's like 3 or 4 levels to go to before you'd be even remotely kind of confident of holding regular conversations, like, you know.
And what is this, just a kind of a lifetime kind of a vibe for you? You always wanted.
I've always wanted to do a con, and it you know what, I know we're going to touch on this later. There was a lot of things in my life that I would have loved to have done, and they weren't always like ambition based. You know, they weren't like I have to be a big comic, whatever. Like my goals in life when I was in my early 20s, if I was on a bar stool or a party or a gaff somewhere, the stuff going on in my head a lot of the time would be like, I'd love to fucking go swimming. I'd love to be able to swim. Like,
can you swim?
I've learned how to swim in the last probably 18 months, I'd say. And Irish was a big thing there. I was just like, I fucking love Ireland, as you know.
Well, like, you get one life, like, and people get preoccupied with their 9 to 5, and then they have to come home and have their dinner and watch their soaps, and, you know, 5 days a week, and then at the weekends take the kids to soccer and take them to GA, and then maybe go out for a bite to eat with the wife, and Sunday then you watch a match, and then you repeat that.
There's always other stuff to be doing.
There's loads of other stuff. We're literally sitting on rocks, like looking out over the fucking sea, you know, talking into microphones, you know, like there's people our age, they're sailing boats, there's people fighting wars our age, there's people ruling countries our age, there's people dying our age,
like we were talking about a friend of ours earlier.
Billy Anderson, comedian, friend of all comedy in Ireland, passed away in a car crash there a couple of years ago, and we were just brought him up. We were talking in your house earlier on, just talking about some stories about him, like, and he's gone now. He's gone.
And you were smiling ear to ear, reflecting on something that he had done or whatever. I just thought that was it was profound when it was framed with this guy's actually passed away, and he had such an effect on you in that moment anyway.
And you know the thing with Billy as well, right? And like this guy lit up every room he went in.
Yeah, so I hear.
His mad energy. And he was my age, a little bit younger than me, maybe 1 or 2 years younger than me, and kids my age, had a kid same age as Dylan, and he was just going through what I'm going through in my life, trying to be a comic, facing these walls. How am I going to get over this wall? I'm going to try. I'm going to go under it.
I'm going to try and smash it.
Do you know what I mean? Some people don't get beyond some walls, you know. We were jumping over the walls together, and then he was in a car accident, and like suddenly he's gone. Yeah. And that's how precious life is. Yeah. You know. Yeah. And I think sometimes, so that's why when I'm asking you these questions, I just think that's so cool. You're gone back. You learned how to swim. I know now you might think that's a kind of an old simple thing if you're listening at home, or especially if you've learned when you were younger. But like, my mum can't swim, and she has a fear, and she tried to swim for years. She went for lessons for years and years, and she still can't swim. She couldn't overcome her fear, but she tried, and then she just got to a stage where she was like, no, I'm not going to try anymore, it's gone. But you did that, and that must be a great feeling to be able to swim now.
It's unbelievable, Con. Like, it's unbelievable.
I know, like, swimming is great. I don't swim a lot. I'm going to go for a swim tomorrow. We're near the sea. Let's
man, swimming is unbelievable, like, you know. But it was right there, available to me all the time as well. I think that's what makes it so. And I mean, yeah, I was actually, because I'm writing something at the moment, and someone was saying, like, you know, the editor was kind of saying, you know, try and clarify why this is special, because a lot of people will have things that they want to do and they may or may not reach them, but there's something unique, I think, about maybe somebody who's had mental health issues, or particularly addiction, which I suppose I would understand a bit more, even though they're fucking one and the same anyway. But you kind of tend to write yourself off an awful lot in addiction. Like, you kind of go, you know, you might be on the bar stool saying I'm going to do this, that and the other, but then the next morning you wake up and you kind of go, fucking Conor McGregor's in your head, like, and he's going, you know, you'll do fucking nothing, like. Yeah. So when you actually do jump over that wall then, or to maybe bolster the analogy a little bit, jump in that lake, the feeling by it is unbelievable, because it's not just the thing in itself, it's about what it represents. It represents that actually you're not full of shit, actually you're not just surviving, but you're doing these things that you wanted to do, you know.
I could paint a wall, I can take that fucking equipment out of the box and make this chair. I don't have to sit on the box. I can swim.
Pleasant as it is.
Pleasant and all, and unnecessary. It's unnecessary for us to put this together. This is a perfect box.
I just love you, right? With an IKEA picnic table, like you're sitting on the unopened.
Or having a picnic on that picnic table, yeah. But it's true, and it's like I love this conversation now because I'm all about this. I think, putting these walls in front of her, I can't do that now. Sure, I can't do that. Like, there's a comedian now, right? And he listens to this podcast, and he's a patron on this podcast, and I love him. Harry Hussey's his name, right?
Yeah, love him too.
And he's
wildly smart guy as well. Actually,
very smart guy.
If you're looking for loquacious, look him up, guys.
And I'm looking at some birds over here. If he was here, he's a professional bird watcher. He'd
Big
be able
bird
to
guy.
tell us all what those birds are. But he messaged me during lockdown, and he's a little older than me, and I like to kind of playfully mock that when we're on stage that I'm not the youngest comedian here.
Is that why you got him in?
I got him in, just to bring the age down, to make me seem younger.
You're the young mistress now, like.
But he said to me one night, he goes, my time is gone. I should have done it when I was younger. And I was like, man, your time is now.
Rubbish.
And I see him, and he's doing the open mics, and he's a resident in the Coco now. He's been on a few pro shows, and he's getting better, and he's working at the craft. And something that, like, sometimes, and you probably get this, people come up to me and they be in really high jobs, like fucking solicitors, lawyers, judges, police, fucking, entrepreneurs and really big jobs, and they come up and they go, I don't know how you do it.
yeah.
And I'm looking at them and I'm like, I don't know how you do what you do.
Exactly. That goes back to what I was saying at the start. Yeah.
So it's like with you with swimming, and with Harry with comedy, and with anyone who's listening to this podcast who's thinking of doing something, just fucking do it.
And I would say there, if you want to do it enough, just do it.
Yeah. If you don't want to do it, don't do it.
You know what I mean? Because I made a big speech about my father there earlier, right? But like the chances of me going and building an extension in my house now, I don't want it enough. Con.
But you could paint a room if you wanted to the next time around, and the room needed to be painted, and if it was in your head enough, you could probably do that.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think I'll ever paint my rooms, But like, if there is something that you want to do that you've harboured for a while, like the Irish language is a good one, like really is.
But I suppose that's why it sprang to mind, the Irish language, because I wanted that enough, but I could still make so one of the reasons for going back to Irish, and I kind of repeat myself now, is that like I want to reconnect with my ancestry, and I want to be able to speak my mother tongue, like, because anybody who's worth their salt, like banging on about being passionate about Ireland and wanting to see, for instance, the reunification of the country and stuff, I think you need to be able to literally talk the talk as well.
I agree. I completely agree with that point, actually.
And I think it's incumbent on people who are, kind of shouting about it online to be able to support the movement and then actually speak the language as well.
Yeah.
But I suppose what I was just saying there as well is that like I've let go of a lot of other aspects of my heritage as well, which would be like the ability to do a bit around the house, which is what my father was expert at. Like,
do you know what I'm doing, which is kind of on the same ilk as that is? I'm growing. We grew potatoes last year, and this year we're growing potatoes again.
That's nice. Yeah.
And we're growing onions and garlic. And every day I'm out there and I'm just doing a little bit of weeding.
That's on my list.
And last year we made soup with the spuds, and the boys loved it.
Oh,
and
nice.
I'll tell you something, man. Putting your hands into the soil and pulling potatoes, there's nothing more fucking Irish than pulling a spud out of the earth.
But if you could do it off Gaeilge as well, if you were commentating on it, like,
oh, Tadhg Hickey. Yeah. Fekeran. What's the Irish for spud?
Prati.
Fekeran prati Tadhg. Talkrasarum. That's it. I couldn't do any more. But like, it's beautiful.
Oh, that was lovely.
It's beautiful growing your own food as well. So
yeah. But anyway, your point is rock solid. Do the stuff that you really want to do.
Do it. Just do it, guys.
Absolutely.
Trending topics with Cornelius Patrick O'Sullivan. So I have 3 trending topics, and the first one is #LeavingCert.
Oh wow, are people doing their leaving?
It's on today, I think.
My God.
Well, it's trending today anyway.
My God.
Yeah.
Jeez, that passed me by completely.
When did you do your leaving? What year?
Oh, fuck, I'm giving the age away again now. I suppose
you said you're 40, mate.
I'm 38. I did my junior cert in 98, so 2001. 2001, yeah. I somehow remember the junior cert more. Oh, that's because I had a crick in my neck. So I had cream, which was this kind of noxious kind of... Yeah, but it was a bit yellow. Oh. And I was in a lot of pain for English paper 1, but still got an A.
Yeah, well, did you see that fucking wall over there, boy?
No, I didn't do particularly well in most of the other. Yeah. But I was talking so eloquently in the background as he was doing it, like, oh man.
Do you remember your leaving cert?
I do.
Is it a big deal? Do you think it's a big deal now?
Again, I think it's one of those things that is artificially and has always artificially been way too much of a big deal. Yeah. Like, I remember the weight on my shoulders. I probably created a lot myself. Now, my father had actually passed away in leaving cert as well, so it was like a frenetic, weird, difficult, challenging year. And I focused on doing well in the exams as a means of kind of going, okay, I'm going to like park this now and kind of I'll do well here, and then the family will be happy and that'll be a distraction for them, kind of thing. So there was all that built into it for me as well. But I do remember in the build-up going, like, kind of failing here is not an option. Like, I definitely feel like in that period they didn't do enough to kind of show you that it'd be great for you to do well, like, and knuckle down, but you're not dead, like, if you don't. And from what I can gather, because I have a daughter who's not long out of leaving cert, that level of pressure hasn't subsided significantly at all in my experience, and I think I would be arrogant enough to say in her experience as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's tragic because Ireland has all these weird, arbitrarily kind of created pressures for young people. There's a bang of the Catholic Church still off it. There's a kind of a bang of moral good and wrong, a kind of a Manichaean thing, like the good boys are over here, they're doing well, and the good girls, and over here then these fuck ups, like, and they can just kind of die on a beach, like, drinking cans.
We're talking about lads on the trades, like, I know, like, some of my friends dropped out of school at 14, 15 to do a trade, and they're like living in 6-bedroom fucking houses on 40-acre estates, you know, with 20 wives.
Can I tell you a very quick story on that?
That may not be true.
I'll tell you a very quick story on that. Guy I was good buddies with in school, we kind of knocked around together, and he's very funny, and he was a tradesman type, and he had no interest in exams or whatever. I was trying to be a good boy. I got a good leaving cert. I went to college. I did English and philosophy. I mean, an arts degree is not incredibly difficult to get into, but I did a good degree. I got very good results.
I think it stands to today as well, though, Tadhg. I think
your
education...
I think fits into the stuff you're writing and whatnot, but I thought, foolishly, that maybe that would give me some sort of natural route into making a career earlier than it certainly has, right? And I remember, like, I was just out of college and I put up a post on Facebook going, oh, my bike's been robbed, like, you know, my bicycle has been robbed. Does anyone have a spare bike? And this buddy of mine, who used to go to school with, now we were out of school maybe 3, 4 or 5 years, like, said, oh, I have a spare bike at home, like, I think you can have it, like. So I went up to his gaff to get the bike, got the bus, about 2 or 3 buses, and, like, he was living in an unbelievably beautiful gaff, like, you know, like, maybe it's like 5, 6 years after school. He had a lovely partner, kids. There was a 3, 4 bedroom house, and there was 2 cars in the driveway. And he pulled this piece of shit bike out of the shed, and I cycled my sorry ass home on it, like. And I think I would have been one of the great, you know, career hopes in that year, like, you know, at one point, like. And I just thought, and I even at the time found it amusing, you know. I was like, because I don't think
the 2 buses is what gets me. 2 buses out to
like,
the burbs.
It's possibly 2 or 3 buses to the suburban utopia, like, you know,
leafy greens.
And he looked at me and I looked at him, and I think we both acknowledged, like, that perhaps he'd made the more correct choices after all.
But you know what, man? These are the choices for success, for monetary success. Yeah, exactly. I do think that any decision that I've made in terms of with comedy, from a creative point of view, has never come from a monetary point of view. Do you know what I mean?
No.
You're writing, or even with yourself, you write about what you know, what you find funny. You write, like, I write mostly about my life, like, and my life is my life on paper isn't that interesting. I'm a married man with a mortgage and two kids, one with special needs, you know.
Yeah. And I write mostly about 18th to 19th century colonialism, and, you know, a lot of it doesn't land. Yeah. But we've both got our passions for it.
And it's passion is the word, though. Passion is the word. That's hashtag the Pope.
What?
Yeah.
Why is he?
I don't know. I never go in and check. I never check because I think it's interesting. If you check, you're kind of coming in with with information.
Okay.
So the Pope. Who is the Pope?
But can I just gently push back if I don't know why he's trending? I then feel I can't respond to the trend. But that's fine.
Well, I suppose, like, I mean, if you're going to be looking at this forensically, if you're going to be a critic, you know, you're probably
a critic.
You're going to be able to poke holes on it. Definitely.
Everyone's a critic.
What's the Pope's name?
the Pope's name. Oh, that's a good one. The last one that I kind of felt any kind of understanding for was
John
the Polish
Paul.
lad. Yeah.
Johnny P.
There was the Ratzinger lad.
Yeah.
This guy is called.
There was
would he be
Benedict.
Francis?
Is it Francis?
Could be Francis, maybe. Yeah.
Franny?
I think he's like, I could be totally wrong here now, but I think he's kind of making moves towards a little bit more kind of peace and love towards LGBTQ plus and stuff. Is he?
That's such a strange move by the Catholic Church, isn't it? To go towards peace and love.
But isn't the Catholic Church though like
the Word of God going towards peace and love? It's a bold move by them.
I think I've got a good segue actually, because I don't know much about the Pope. But I was at my beautiful godson's communion on Finn, on Saturday, and I have to say now, so I walked in kind of going like, they're at it again. Like, it's the same stuff. Like, the structure of the mass hasn't changed much. The priest, I would say, lacks charisma. He's singing along in the middle of the mass. He hasn't a note in his head. I mean, if we are celebrating God here, I'm not sure we've picked the most able servants to do it. You know what I mean?
He hasn't a note in his head. It's like you're at a gig, like.
Like, I would give this gig 2 out of 10. Like, it was poor. Now, the venue was amazing.
No crowd work.
The stained glass was a lovely touch.
Doing all old stuff, Old Testament stuff.
Heard it before, mate. Do some writing. But halfway through it, I was like, looked at the boys, they were singing it. Now, you can say this is indoctrination as well. In fact, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I haven't formulated the thought. But the kids looked like they were having a good time. There was something about the community of it. They were singing together. Some kids would go up and do prayers of the faithful, and there was these 2 lads. They were kind of screaming some refrain about Jesus, but they really wanted to be heard, so they were like deep into the mic and they were shouting, and the whole church was laughing. It was very good. It was very charming. And then they come out of the church, they go in town, they make a few quid. It's a good day out.
It's a good day for them.
It's a good day out. And I'm in no way trying to minimise the unspeakable horror of the Catholic Church's legacy in this country. But I don't know the final figure, but it was a pretty penny. Like,
was it over a G?
Oh, it's easily
like they make over a grand now, like.
Easily, like.
Fucking hell, like.
You'd be disgusted if you didn't, like.
Like, you're his uncle and godfather. Did you have to trum a ton?
I gave him, between myself and this is off the record now, guys. Don't quote me on this. Between myself and 120 quid, mate.
Whoa.
120 quid, but we're big spenders. You know what I mean? I saved a fortune with the painting.
And an old bike that you had hanging around the house for years. There you go, Finn.
But my final word on the Pope would be the lack of motion towards evolving in any way from that institution is both terrifying and fascinating to me. Like, I can't remember the last time I went to Mass, I thought I was going to walk in the door and there'd be the potential for like, I wonder if they're mixing it up a bit, like, you know, because from what I can gather, they're on their last legs. Like, we can't get new priests, and yet there's no new ideas. Like, and I wouldn't go as strong to say as I admire it in a way, but the doubling, tripling, and quadrupling up, I think they're out on their own with that stuff. Like, it's fascinating.
Yeah. My boys are yet to get into that.
And what are you going to do?
I think you used the word community there, and I think that's what I look at it as. It is a community thing. They're all there with their pals.
Yeah.
They're all the families get to mix for a short space. Where else is that going to happen? Do you know? And but so I'm involved with the GA as well, and half the people don't play GA. Some people play soccer.
Right.
Some people do athletics. Some people do drama.
Okay.
But this is where the whole community come together. Now, I totally get the indoctrined point, and I totally get that like Irish Catholicism has a filthy, disgusting past, but there is a lot of good in the past as well. There's a lot of good.
For some,
you know.
But
like,
I suppose
I'm not a Catholic. I'm a lapsed Catholic. I'm agnostic. I'm a spiritual person. I believe in vibes.
Yeah.
But like,
just to say, I don't think that's going to be enough for God on the day.
For God?
Yeah, like as in if you die and you're like in some version of heaven and you go, I believe in something.
Yeah.
I can't see that.
Well, I don't believe in heaven. Anyway.
Okay, so you're going to get there, and the first thing you're going to say is, I don't believe in any of this.
This doesn't exist, God.
Okay, because I'll be there at the top of the queue going, I believe in all of you. Allah, everything. I always believe.
Here's my Quran. I always had it in my back pocket.
I was telling them for years, mate. I believe all this. But my final word on that topic is, we might get to it, hopefully. I may be about to bring a new life, just me on my own, by the way. I may be about to give birth to a new human. I am with child. And am I going to back up Like, if I send them to a communion and a christening and all these kind of things, like, am I going to go to mass? Then I'm not. So that's a tough one, isn't it?
Well, I tell you now, it's
no easy answer. Like,
it's interesting because Harvey now is at home reciting like prayers,
right?
And he's like, he's all about death at the moment. He goes, he said to me the other day, when do you think you're going to pass away?
That's brilliant.
And I was like, I don't think I'm going to pass away, Harvey,
for a window, like,
for a good for a good 40 or 50 years. I said, right, okay. And how old will I be then? Yeah, and you know that Jesus passed away on the cross, and he's coming out with these like profound nuggets in a child voice. And I'm thinking to myself, what's he learning here? I'm trying to figure out what's he learning. So he's learning the story of Christ. Okay?
Yeah.
But is he learning about love?
And I hope so.
And he is.
I hope so. Yeah.
He is. And so I live in a country where Catholicism is in our DNA and is inbred into us or bred into us from a young age. Freudian slip. But I don't see massive badness in it. Do I trust the Catholic Church? I definitely don't trust them the way they would have been trusted implicitly in the past. Yeah. But I'm not going to have Harvey be up in fucking an altar boy or any that kind of carry on. And I think for our community and for his friends and with his school, I think it'd be worse to stand up to your teacher and go, we don't believe in that there now. I
agree with you, and I'll tell you one very, very quick thing. Like, with my daughter, by the time she came to confirmation age, she was like, well, I don't believe in God. And I was absolutely encouraged by her honesty and critical thinking. I actually do believe in God, for what it's worth, but she went away and thought about it, and she was like, I don't believe in this God anyway. I don't believe in the Catholic Church God, so I'm actually, I don't want to do. And she didn't do it in a kind of a, glory again or I will survive kind of thing. It wasn't a big dramatic thing. She was just like, I don't believe in any of this, so I don't want to do it.
She must have been 12. That's a very powerful statement for a 12-year-old girl. Like.
Smart kid again, man. A lot of reading.
Do you believe in God?
Yeah.
So do you believe in like what God? What type of what?
I don't believe
what is God?
I don't believe in an interventionist kind of religious God.
I don't believe
in an interventionist God. Nice, great tune. But I believe in a power greater than myself. Yeah, I suppose is the way I would put it. And it's a real belief. So like I was playfully commenting on your spiritual thing there. Like it's I'd be the same as yourself, but it's not like. When people say, I believe in something, it's not that. Like, it's very, even though it's hard to describe, it's also simultaneously clear to me what it is. Because I can feel it inside myself or something, you know what I mean? And it's the key to me not dying as well of addiction, I think.
Yeah, man, I actually weirdly get exactly what you're saying there. Last one, #Tesla.
Is that a girl? Tessie.
Tesla O'Mahony.
I wonder why that's trending now as well. I do think there could be some work done on that, but
Elon Musk invented the Tesla. Tesla was originally Tesla was a scientist, wasn't he?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Do you know anything about Tesla?
Nothing. No, I don't.
The electronic cars.
Oh, I know about the cars. Yeah. But
it's back to kind of a thing, isn't it? Where I ask people, they have no idea what it is. And we have to try and come up with a bit of a conversation.
And also, why is it trending? And yet it's kind of working quite well. We're quite fluid about it.
It sparks conversation. It sparks nonsense conversation. Because if you had some sort of an idea there, you'd be off telling me. Well,
that's true. Yeah.
Whereas like Nikola Tesla is where I would go with that. Now he was, and he.
I was with her. I was with her for years. Yeah.
Well, she was a man. No, like you know that. Died in 19.
What?
Yeah, Nikola.
She kept that quiet.
Nicola. All right, okay, I'm going to get into that. Concludes trending topics with Cornelius Patrick O'Sullivan. I got a few questions for you. How long are we in this? I can't even see this because we're outside, but I feel we're talking a half an hour.
I'll check for you, and I think it's only fair to check. It is now 1:56,
and you're
about 15 minutes.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah,
okay, hi Tadhg.
Hi Con. Is that number one?
No, well you've an older daughter. You were talking about her there. Tell me.
I have an elderly daughter.
How was it for you raising a daughter in your was it your early 20s? How old were you? How old was she when you were born?
I was 20 when she was conceived, I think.
I was the same with Dylan.
Yeah.
21 when I was a father.
I might be 20, 21, yeah.
How did you get on?
Well, I'd have to straight away respond to the raising part of the question by saying that her mother largely raised her. I would say that. Like, we lived together for the first few years, and then after that I was at times quite an active but always from afar parent a little bit because I just didn't live with her. You know what I mean? That's like the day-to-day stuff, I think, is kind of perhaps where it's won and lost, I think, really, like in the groundwork of parenting, I think, and I wasn't part of that, but I did see her all the time. So I just giving you a kind of a context of her or whatever. But to bring up a daughter with like at the time I was an extremely, and I'm not saying this in a self-flagellatory way at all, I was an extremely self-obsessed person. Like I was in my early 20s, I thought the world owed me something. I was caught up in total addiction very early on. And I was a party boy, like, you know, it's a bit of a gammy phrase, but like I was the quintessential talking shit at the party, Wikipedia quoting Nietzsche, like not going to my philosophy lectures, drinking cans, taking yokes, chasing other people's girlfriends. That was my life. You know what I mean? And like I was quite happy with that life.
No wonder you never learned to swim. You were flat out.
I was up the walls, man.
How would you paint a fucking wall, man, in those circumstances?
If other people's girlfriends were out swimming, I would have jumped in, like. But so I was very self-conscious. Now I have to say, like, she was a bolt of kind of humanity and snapping me out of my bullshit. Like,
she could have saved you.
She probably did. She probably did. So it's. Do you know what? The further I get as well, there's no one fucking story. It's not like I was a bad dad, you know, because I think they say in CBT as well, like, there are kind of no bad dads. Like, everyone's in the middle. There's no good dads, there's no bad dads. So, like,
some dads have been around from the very get-go, man, all the way through. They're the fucking worst pricks in the world. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
You know? You were there for your daughter. You did your best for your daughter under the circumstances. You were also going through your own stuff. Your old man passed away, you said earlier on, you know, and then you're battling drinking, drug addiction, and have a small kid on top of it. Yeah, you know, you're fucking. It's great that you've come out of it, like, you know. Yeah, and I think I got there was outbreaks of fathering the whole way through it that I think that were quite effective. Have you any nice memory from like where you were kind of like you and?
Oh man,
Give me a nice memory.
I've got so many. In fact, I'm going to plug my book at this point.
Please plug your book.
Stuff is in a book that's called A Portrait of the Piss Artist as a Young Man, which is going to be on pre-sale actually, hopefully from tomorrow.
Wow.
But it's out in September, the book's out. And it's just like a hopefully funny, but at times sad.
If you give me the link for that, I'll put it on the bio for this so that people can come in and buy the book on pre-sale.
I'd love that.
And please buy the book, guys, because Tadhg is an artist. He's writing a book. He's a comedian. He's a playwright. He's an actor. He's a voiceover artist. He does it all. And it's like, it's hard. And for him to be doing this and putting it out there, do you know, how much is the book?
That's a good question, actually. I know it's like... It's probably about 10 or 12
that's
euros.
A bit much.
No, but it's 2 for 1. You get one of Dostoevsky's with it as well, you know.
You throw in a Dostoevsky with it.
and to throw in one of those books, like...
No, that's good value, guys. You're getting Dostoevsky and Hickey.
Crime and Punishment's a bit of a tome, like. But no, I'll give you one story from it,
Please.
Alright? It's more kind of a memory than anything else than a fathering story, but it was like... I remember taking her away for the first time to Galway, so it was a big deal to take her like out of Cork, like, you know, and I was fucking really excited about it. And I was going through a period now where, because I'd be on and off it the whole time, like, it was not like I was constantly in addiction. I was kind of like a pick it up and put it back down type of guy. I'm not saying that one is better than the other, I'm just giving you context. So I could go through months, and at some periods even kind of maybe a year or so, where I wouldn't be drinking at all. And in those periods, I probably would be, you know, on paper anyway, pretty good dad, I think. Yeah. But anyway, I took her away I remember for the first time as the two of us going away together, and on the way up, I was really kind of selling it hard that she could do anything she wanted on this trip, like, within reason, because it was her trip, like, you know. And we went to the beach, I think the first night, and like, I know everyone just thinks this about their kids, whatever, but she was just like she had a little cherub head on her, like, you know. She was an absolutely beautiful little child. And so we were straight onto the beach anyway, and she was like storming around the beach and like paddling and kind of like looking for little kind of crabs and stuff and having a crack. And like, do what you want. So she was on the beach for like, it was kind of starting to get a bit dark, like, you know, so we were like, okay, we're going to have to go home. And then all of a sudden she was just like, yeah, let's just go back to because we were renting this kind of hotel room, whatever, like, and she was in one bed and I was in the other, so we went back, and all Celtic were playing the UEFA Cup match on the night as well. So I was kind of trying to get her off to sleep, because I wanted to see the second half. Now, I was having a beautiful time, right, but
go to sleep.
But then suddenly it was a bit like, do you know what, Dad, I think it's, I'm going to go to sleep. And I was like, what is going on here, like? And I was like, okay, this has all worked out beautifully now, because we've had a beautiful day. I'm going to get the last 15 minutes of the match unexpectedly. This is amazing. She turned off the light. I washed off the sand off her, obviously, before she went to bed. Put on her nightie. She brushed her teeth into the little bed. I'm in one. We're like the Father Ted scene, you know. It's like two little buddies, like, and that's what we were really, more than anything else. We were kind of buddies, like, and too good to be true. Like the telly, the volume down, watching the telly, and next thing, like, just heard Dad, and I'm like, yeah. She's like, have we left the beach too soon? I was like, I don't think so. Like, I think we were there for kind of 2 or 3 hours or whatever, you know. And like, I just washed the sand off you for like half an hour, 45 minutes. And she was like, no, I just feel, you know, I just think it was a bit like, you know, soon, like the way we left, whatever. There was nothing for it anyway, but the light back on, clothes back on, back to the beach, because like when I protested, she did remind me that I said this weekend she could do whatever she wanted. So we went back to the beach, and it's always a memory that will just be kind of strong in my mind, where I was just like, I remember actually in that period just kind of going, this is great, man, this is a great human being, like, and I'm part of the scene, like, you know.
Unreal, man.
Yeah.
Unreal. That's beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead here because some of these questions are the same, right? But so you're due, not you.
I'm due, girl.
But your partner.
Yeah.
The beautiful, kind, amazing Claire is due to have your baby. 20 years is how old is your daughter now?
She has turned 19.
19.
Yeah.
19 years after. So there's such symmetry between you and me.
Yeah, there is. There's
spooky,
yeah.
I'm about 5 or 6 years older than you.
Easily.
I had a kid when I was 21, and then I started a family again when I was 40. Like, you know, so there's such symmetry. So I can see it. Like, what does Claire mean to you, man?
Like, I kind of find it hard to even conceive of a life without her in it, I suppose, you know. Like, it's almost felt like she was always there before I kind of knew her as well, or something. She's almost like this kind of presence or something that, like,
as long as I know you, Claire is around.
Yeah,
as long as I know you.
She's not the type, like, when someone like Claire comes into your life, I think you're not going to put that down again then, you know what I mean? Like, if it somehow has come onto your hand or something, like, she's like a little bird. Like, if she's flown onto your hand, like, you need to snatch it and bring it home, really, you know. Because she just, I don't know, man, it's I mean, you know her, it's very hard to describe what somebody who just has this effortless, natural way of being with other human beings in the most kind, generous, supportive, loving way you can imagine. And that just, like, and I'm not, again, being self-flagellatory when I say this, that when I first met her, I didn't have that stuff myself. I was so trapped in myself, I was so lost in myself, I was coming to the end of my drinking, and this fucking angel just walked into my life, like, and just started making it just that little bit easier. And it's not just, I don't ever want to reduce it to the fact that, you know, she helps me out in the way that I help her out, I think. You know, we're mutually good for each other. But it's just like the spirit of somebody who you love, I suppose, and who loves you, and there's no games. Like, there's no game playing.
Oh, that does it for me.
Do you know?
That does it for me, because Noelle is the same. There was never, and there never is, any games.
And by the way, just for me, the games were largely my fault in previous relationships. I thought it was a game, Con. I thought it was a game. I thought I had to win, or I thought I had to hurt or be hurt.
Yeah.
Tid.
Or what I would have had to do is, I always felt I'd have to lie.
Yeah.
I'd do lies to make other people happy.
Yes.
And then I'd be unhappy because I'm doing stuff that I didn't want to do, which would manifest in later on in the relationship as resentment, or, you know, this is just different girlfriends I would have had down through the years and our relationships. But like with Noelle, as you're saying, that's what I can see in common is, you know, there's just natural love and empathy and no games.
No games. And I can be open with her as well to kind of go, like, at the moment I was talking to my painter buddy about it yesterday. I was like, I still, for me, have a selfish instinct. I'm probably one of these human beings you've been reading about. I feel we all have it to a certain extent, but definitely addicts. Look, I'll speak for myself. My first thought is often still about me, right? And that's the same as 20 years ago. But these days, I can kind of acknowledge it and actually talk about it with Claire, have a laugh about it, and then do the right thing. So at the moment, she needs a lot of support from me. Like, as my painter buddy said yesterday, he said, what are you doing there now in the afternoon? I said, I'm actually bringing herself to the CUH, because unexpectedly we went to the hospital yesterday at 2 o'clock. No, it was all totally fine. But and he goes to me, because he gets me, like, he goes, I'm sure you've shit to be at. And that we were able to laugh about it, and Claire was able to laugh about it, because my first thought might be, Con, it might be, oh, I've a book to get in here, like.
Was it? I don't know. Did you say this to me today, or did Claire say it to me? I think you would have said it. You woke up this morning, you said, and like she's due tomorrow now, right? And you turned to her and you said, "Come here, today's not all about you now."
Because sometimes we're in separate rooms at the moment, right? For reasons I won't go into. But one of our snoring has got out of hand, and she wanders into my room in the morning, and like she's full on now with the whole bump thing, as you saw. Like, you know, she's just about to pop. Like,
she's beautifully pregnant.
She is actually. She's beautifully pregnant. And she'd come into my room, and she's just about to say something along the lines of, "Oh, you know, could have slept a bit better," or, you know, and I'm just like, "Look, love, we need to just rein in the selfishness here now, like, because it is not all about I have a book to get in." But Con, we're able to laugh about it. I'm able to laugh with you about it now. Whereas back then, I was actually having these thoughts, and I wasn't reality checking them at all.
Well, self-awareness, do you know what, man? There's a lot to be said for self-awareness, and I feel myself, I've only really developed proper, and I'm still developing.
Of course.
I'm still developing.
Same,
my self-awareness over the last, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years, and really much in the last 12 months, where I'm like, I've kind of stood up for myself in scenarios, and I back myself, and I won't let. I just think, you know, being aware of how you're being. I suppose in work I'm looking at now as well. How you could be used and stuff like that.
Of course.
So, you know, there's a lot to be said for it. You know, being aware of your feelings, being aware of, like, when you said, "Look, I am a bit selfish, or I'm a bit self-centered." If you're like that for 25 or 30 or 40 years, like, that's not going to change.
Absolutely,
because you've developed a little bit of self-awareness.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
We're all a fucking work in progress. Like.
Yeah.
Until we. It's like, I remember a fella saying to me one time we were talking about levels. You know, what level is he at? He's at this level now. What level is? Oh yeah, but Tommy Turner's at that level. And I was like, the levels don't change. Like, the levels never end. Like, the levels never end. You're only as fucking good as your last day. Like, you know.
And you can sign up to the levels philosophy or not. Like, that's optional. That's all arbitrary. They're just thoughts. They're ideas. They don't 100%. Exist in reality at all. Like,
you're creating them for yourself as a barometer of fucking success.
Yeah. Or we've been talking today about comedy where we mightn't say have, I don't know, some aspects of what the level thing should indicate, but like, I'll just speak for you for a moment now. You're making a living out of comedy, opening up clubs, running clubs, doing your own set, doing corporate work. Like, you're doing all the stuff that's very hard to do, and you're creating it yourself. But someone else might look at you and go, "Hold on a second, I didn't realise he was at the level to do that." It's just a fiction of the mind, like.
And like, well, I definitely think with comedy as well, it's like the Wild West. There's no regulations. Like, there's no right or wrong way to do it. You either work or you don't work.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And you can get by on luck. Some people get by on luck.
Thank you.
Some people get by on.
And it's nice for it finally to be acknowledged.
If you're lucky and you're talented, then you're fucking laughing. Do you know what I mean? But like, you know, but I enjoy the work. I love the work, man. We're sitting outside in the sunshine, listening to the waves, the tiny waves crash off the beach, and birds are chirping. Your Bjore's about to give birth to your daughter. Like, you're fucking, you know, it's great. Life is great. I'll finish on your tits. Sorry, I'll finish on this.
Come on.
That's a little joke that I like to use.
And it goes. I can tell the listeners it goes down a treat. It does though. It's a lander.
It's a lander.
I call it a lander.
So it's a double question, right? How has Ireland changed since you were first a dad, and what are you looking forward to now? What are you looking forward to as a new dad?
Cop-out answer to the first one. Ireland has changed radically and then not changed at all. You know, like, on some strata, like, we still have, you know, the RTEs of the world. We still have big institutions that don't self-reflect or whatever, and they have kind of unelected. No, you can't really elect national broadcasters. I get the irony of what I'm saying, but we still have big, powerful, centralised power in all aspects of Irish society that hasn't changed at all since I was a kid. On the other side, we have an under-17 Irish soccer team the other night being successful, playing good football with loads of mixed-race kids.
I watched the first
half
it last night.
All day long. Yeah. Like, that stuff just warms the cockles of my heart. Yeah. I think we've become, in a lot of aspects, a more open society. There's been significant referenda that we have passed in this country that I think we can be very, very proud of. And on a personal note, my probably not the thing that maybe got me interested in politics to begin with was the reunification of the country, which felt like a fanciful dream to me when I was first kind of looking at this stuff, now looks like we could have a border poll realistically in a decade. That is dream come true for me, and I think people who interpret the north-south kind of thing in the same way would feel the same. What's the second question again?
And the second question is, what are you looking forward to as like 20 years ago you were a new dad?
Yes.
And
yes.
You were obviously in the same bones and skin and whatnot, meat suit that you have now. But like you've got 20 years of experience, different experiences. You're wiser. You've lived more. What are you looking forward to that you didn't even consider first time around?
I think hopefully I can sum it up quite well. When I was actually talking to Claire about it in the run up, I was kind of saying, like we said earlier, sporadic outbreaks of quite good fathering and parenting. I think fathering is probably incorrect because that sounds like I was going around getting loads of women knocked up, which is not true at all. I hope. But parenting, sporadic outbreaks of parenting. And I think, there was a lot of good stuff was done. But I was saying to Claire the other day, I probably missed out on a lot as well, like I didn't do a lot of things because I mentally wasn't there or whatever. And she said, looks like Caoimhe got enough though, like Caoimhe's an amazing, absolutely amazing human being, and I couldn't even describe how proud I am to be even associated with her, let alone her father. I love her to bits, right? And her mother has done an extraordinary job with her, and I've played a nice little supporting role in that. That's the way I would look at it. But Claire was kind of making the point, like, it's maybe just you who might have lost out, because not that she didn't lose out, don't get me wrong, but it would be almost an egotistical thing for me to dwell on the fact that, like, I missed out on moments with her, whereas the focus should really be on her. So I'm just looking forward to having a new chance at it in a way, to be a little bit more consistently present for those magic moments.
Beautiful answer. I love it. Things that I love that I missed with, because your story is so parallel to mine. I was an absent father with Dylan as well for years. I was around, I was on the scene, but like yourself, I was drinking and drugging and womanizing, and I missed out on so much, really I did, and I regret it, but I still have a great relationship with Dylan. He's a beautiful human, and he is. We go to all these matches, and we've came over there last week, and he came over there randomly last week, Tuesday. The kids were dropped to school. We pulled out the chessboard. We had a game of chess, a couple of games of chess, and I'm so grateful that he did that. And that we're at a stage now. He's 25. But what I'm digressing now. But what I'm trying to say is little things that I really cherish. Making them breakfast.
Oh, nice.
Sitting down and listen to them waffling on about superheroes as they're stuffing waffles into their face. I love when lately now Harvey's started to lie to get his way, no, I don't think that program is on. I think that program evaporated.
He's literally discovered lying, he's discovered like the movie.
Like he, for example, last week he pulled a sickie. He convinced us all that he was sick. And then it was 2:00. He was like, I'm not actually even sick. I just wanted to stay at home.
Fair play to him.
And we all laughed, but then we obviously had to teach him about that.
Yeah.
But I must have missed out on millions of those moments.
Yeah.
And I'll never get them back.
Yeah.
And I'm just thankful and grateful that I have able to experience them again with these boys. And I think what you were saying there as well is like when Claire said you didn't, that you did enough, and you probably did do enough, but now you're going to get to see the mundane, and there's beauty in the mundane.
Of course.
There's beauty. There's such beauty in school runs, man. Affirmations. We're doing affirmations at school. The boys do their affirmations the same as they're learning their prayers now. Every day going to school, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm hilarious, I'm kind. I know they'd be fighting each other to get the affirmations, who's doing them first. But yeah. Anyway, listen, we've meandered on, and it was gorgeous.
Yeah, it was an absolute pleasure, man.
I loved it. I'm going to get that link off you. I'm going to put it into the description here for this podcast. This podcast is coming out next week as well, so give it to me today. And
I just say, if anyone's listening and they might have any question about being pointed in the right direction about recovery as well, that feel free to, they could anonymously send me a mail or anything like that, or get someone else to do whatever. It's just my it's just info@tadghhickey.com or Twitter or whatever.
And what's your Facebook page called?
Tadhg Hickey changed my life. It started off ironic, but as it turns out, I'm now changing lives. Still can't get on RTE though.
Fuck RTE.
I thought I'd end on a bum note.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I'm loving all the feedback I've been getting lately, and I sincerely really, really appreciate it. If you're liking the podcast, please like and subscribe and all that kind of carry on. Check out my YouTube channel. Check out all my channels. Maybe share a story. If you're listening to it and you want to shout it out, share a story and tag me, and I will reshare it on my stories, and then everybody will get to see it, and we might get more people listening to the podcast, and that's the ultimate aim. Thank you so much to this week's guest, Mr. Tadhg Hickey. Thank you, Tadhg.
Thank you, sir.
Talk to you next week, guys. Shtay by the wall. God bless. Good night.